10 biggest exporters in Africa. In 2021, Africa's exports reached a total of $513.5 billion US dollars. This sum of money is a 19.6% increase over the $429.3 billion for 2017 and a 30.7% increase over the $392.9 billion for 2020. Focusing on global standards, global exports from all nations were $21.513 trillion in 2021. As a result, in 2021, it is predicted that 2.4% of the global exports will come from Africa. Over the 5-year period beginning in 2017, exports from all nations climbed faster, 22.5%, than those from Africa. Overall exports increased by 22.9% over the previous year, but African exports saw a greater increase of 30.7%. The top 5 exporting countries from Africa in 2021 were South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Algeria, and Morocco. That significant group of African shippers produced more than half, 557%, of the continent's total exports in terms of value. Comparing that percentage to the 52.9% share 1 year earlier, there has been an increase in concentration. Given that there are over 1.4 billion people living in Africa, the $513.5 billion in 2021 exports is nearly $365 per African citizen. The dollar amount is higher than the 2020 per capita average of $275 billion. Africa has one of the largest export industries in the world. Stay with us today to find out who are the top exporters in Africa. Before we begin, please make sure to like and share this video. 10. Ghana, $11.4 billion, 2.5% share African exports. Ghana exports 40.3% of its total economic output through its 2 ports, the 3,900 square kilometer Tema Harbor and the Takoradi Harbor, the primary export port of the nation. Precious metals and stones make up the majority of the nation's exports. Africa's top gold producer is Ghana. Exports of diamonds and precious metals totaled $3.5 billion, or 34.4% of all exports. Mineral fuels, including oil, are next in line, coming in at $2.6 billion, or 25.4% of all exports. Cocoa is the 3rd largest export, accounting for $2.5 billion in 2017, or 24.4% of total exports. 9. Tunisia, $14.2 billion, 3.1% share. In total, Tunisia has 16 ports, including the port of Tunis, Sfax, Laskira, and Diden Terminal. Electrical machinery and equipment make about $4 billion, or 28.4% of all exports from Tunisia. With $2.2 billion in exports, or 15.5% of all commodities, clothing, and accessories, excluding knit or crocheted, come in 2nd place. Knit or crocheted garments and accessories are the 3rd largest export, accounting for $893.3 million, or 6.4% of all exports. 8. Libya, $17.8 billion, 3.8% share. With a capital city known as Bride of the Sea and a seaport that dates to the 6th century BC, Libya's economy depends heavily on exports. Oil and other mineral fuels make up its largest export. With a value of $17.2 billion, it represents 96.8% of all commodities exported from the nation. Copper exports come in at $87.7 million, 0.5%, and iron and steel exports come in at a much lower $151.6 million, 0.9%. 7. Morocco, $25.6 billion, 5.5% share. The port of Al Hoceima, Casablanca, Essaouira, Safi, and Tangier are the 5 ports that make up Morocco. The port of Casablanca is the biggest and most well-known. The port of Casablanca handles more than 21 million tons of freight each year. Electrical machinery and equipment, which made up 16.5% of all exports in 2017 and had an export value of $4.2 billion, is its largest export. Vehicle exports total $3.4 billion, or 13.3% of all exports. Fertilizers are third in terms of exports, coming in at $2.6 billion, 10.1%. 6. Egypt, $25.9 billion, 5.6% share. Egypt is a nation with a total of 7 ports, but the port of Alexandria is the country's genuine Nile jewel. It is regarded as the primary port for all of Egypt's international trade and is located on the west verge of the Nile Delta between the Mediterranean Sea and Mariot Lake. Oil and other mineral fuels account for the greatest portion of exports, accounting for $5.1 billion or 19.5% of all exports. Gems and precious metals are in second place, accounting for 8.2% of all exports, with a $2.1 billion market share. Electrical machinery and equipment exports rank third in terms of value at $1.7 billion, or 6.7% of all exports. 5. Angola, $34.8 billion, 7.5% share. Angola has 4 ports, with Luanda serving as the largest. More than 70% of all imports and exports from the country are handled in Luanda. Angola's capital and largest city, Luanda is also the nation's most populous and significant city, main port, and significant industrial, cultural, and urban hub. Mineral fuels and oil make up the majority of its exports, $32.3 billion, or 95.6% of all exports, followed by gems and precious metals, $1.2 billion, or 3.5%, and machinery, including computers, $46.4 million, or 3.5%. 4. Algeria, $35.2 billion, 7.6% share. There are 12 ports in Algeria, with the port of Algiers serving as the nation's first ever commercial port. Mineral fuels, including oil, make up the majority of the nation's exported goods with a value of $33.8 billion, or 96.1% of all exports. With $382.9 million, or barely 1.1% of all exports, inorganic chemicals are by a considerable margin the second largest export sector. Fertilizers come in third with sales of $327 million, or 0.9% of the total. 3. Nigeria, $44.5 billion, 9.6% share. The Lagos Port Complex and Tin Island Port in Lagos, Calabar Port, Delta Port, Rivers Port in Port Harcourt, and On Port are some of Nigeria's principal ports. Mineral fuels, including oil, make up 96% of Nigeria's total exports and are the country's largest export category, with $39.1 billion in exports. Ships and boats accounted for 0.6% of all exported commodities, making them the second largest industry. With a total export value of $238.1 million and a share of 0.6% of all exports, cocoa was Nigeria's third largest exporting sector. 2. Guinea, $62.1 billion, 13.4% share. Conakry and Port Kamsar are Guinea's 2 principal ports. The largest of the 2 ports, Port Conakry, has a maximum annual capacity of about 600,000 TEUs and a full container storage capacity of about 8,000 TEUs. The nation is the world's largest reserve holder of bauxite and a major exporter of the commodity. Bauxite, aluminum ore, $990 million, and gold, $1.54 billion. Exports from Guinea account for almost 85% of all exports from the nation. Additionally, the company exports crude petroleum, $41.9 million, non-fillet frozen fish, $43.2 million, and petroleum gas, $154 million. 1. South Africa, $88.3 billion, 19.1% share. The South African government has highlighted the nation's ports and terminals as major economic growth drivers because they are located along one of the busiest international sea routes. There are 8 ports there, with the port of Durban being the biggest and busiest in sub-Saharan Africa. Gems and precious metals made up the majority of South Africa's exports in 2017, amounting to $14.9 billion in total, or 16.7% of all exports. The Republic's other exports are much higher than those of other African nations, with drinks, spirits, and vinegar ranking as the 10th highest export category, accounting for $1.4 billion. At $11.3 billion, or slag and ash ranked second in terms of exports, making up 12.6% of all exports. Mineral fuels, including oil, ranked third in terms of exports with $10.6 billion, or 11.8% of all exported items. 40 exporting nations in Africa had an increase in the value of their exports between 2020 and 2021. The Central African Republic increased 110.1%, Sao Tome and Principe up 152.4%, Cape Verde up 137.9%, St. Helena up 196.9%, Libya up 224.4%, Gambia increasing 400.2% from 2020. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do not hesitate to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more updates.